All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another awesome broadcast of Let's Talk Real Life with Miss Nada Manning. I'm your co-host, Coach Vernon Garrison. It is a pleasure indeed to join you and you join us at WECU 1570 AM and 107.5 FM, Winterfield, Greenville, North Carolina. All right. Well, now, those folks that are listening over in WYLT, LP 100.3 FM over in Rocky Mount. Hello, hello, hello. And of course, New Bern area, 1450 AM, 102.3 FM. If you are chopping it up with us over there, thank you so much for joining us. If you're new to the show, please like and subscribe to the platform that you're listening on. Send us a note. Send us a note, and we'll be glad to receive it. So, thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. I'm your co-host, Vernon Garrison. And without further delay, Ms. Nada Manning is going to introduce our topic today, and we'll sit at the round table and chop it up. Hello, Ms. Nada. How are you?
Hello, Vern, and hello to everyone out there who's listening to us. Happy day, happy Thanksgiving weekend, happy joyous time for some and not so joyous for others, but we just continue to lift you up with our words of encouragement as we continue to go through this show of Let's Talk Real Life. It is my pleasure as well as Coach to be with you at this time for words of encouragement. Today's topic is going to be influencing the influencers. Influencing the influencers. What in the world does that mean? Well, I believe we all have that role of influencing, even down to the children. You know, they have their peers, a way of influencing their peers by the way they are, the way they respond to things, as well as us adults. We all have a role somewhere in our lives where we can influence somebody, whether we admit it or not, whether we want to or not, because why? Everybody is watching all the time. When you don't want anybody to see you or hear you, there they are in close proximity to hear what you're saying or see what you're doing, no matter how hard you try to hide. And whatever they see or hear will influence them one way or the other. Can that be helped? It's kind of hard to say. I guess it could be if you are a person that's going to be mindful of your surroundings, if you're constantly, and I mean constantly, being aware of your surroundings. That might make a difference in who or how or when you will influence someone. Whether you're saying anything or acting a certain way, your behavior, your body language, your mannerism, your everything is influencing. So as we go through this topic of influencing influencers, I want to say that we may not cover all of this in one session because it is a wide variety of things to talk about as we influence in our lives at different ages, at different stages, at different times of our lives. So what we want to do today is bring it to your mind, to your forefront of your brain to realize whether you want to do a positive thing or not, you're going to influence someone. Whether you're popular or whether you're an executive, whether you're a regular everyday person, it does not matter. As long as you're moving around, unless you're going to stay in the house. Now, if you're going to stay inside, you're still influencing someone because why? They know you're somewhere in the house. So your influence is that you don't ever come out. Is that going to help or break someone, cause someone to stay in as well? The impact of your behavior weighs on somebody. I would say 99% of the time, if not 100%.
Right, right, right.
So influencing the influencer, some of the topics can be power struck. Those of us who are, well, I used to be, I'm not anymore in any type of power, executive power position, but that power, being power struck, can influence your subordinates in a negative and positive way, such that they either want to continue to work with you or they don't. They're going to continue to work with you because they need a job, or they're trying to mimic your behavior so that one day when they become of such person, that they'll know how to carry on and so forth. So you're influencing your subordinates in that sense.
Right,
That can be
right.
a good thing, because you do, if you have a good employee, you want to keep them. So does that mean, as we all know, adults know, sometimes some of the subordinates kind of what they used to call, I don't know what they call it today, but kissing up. The one of them yes persons. Whatever you say, boss, whatever you say, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it. Why? Because
Well,
that person wants to be on your good side. They want, number one, they want to raise, they want to be promoted. So they don't want to go against the boss or whoever's in charge. They want
well,
to do whatever it takes, even if it means, unfortunately, even if it means hurting someone, even if it means hurting their peers, their co-workers. Some people feel that way. They don't care. As long as they're moving up the ladder, they just want to get up there. Now,
okay, now I'm gonna jump in because you about to do the whole show.
okay,
Throw me some rope. Throw me a little bit of rope. Ah, I love
okay,
it. You gotta love it, y'all. She in deep. Just describing the influencer. All right, let me throw my hat in there with who this influencer is and why I'm gonna go in on some of the influencers from the point of being an influencer. Um, Matthew 22:14 talks about many are called, but few are chosen. And
mm-hmm.
I had to look that up. I had to dig into that because, like
Yep,
Ms. Nate, I was a little excited about this subject, but it
mm-hmm.
simply means that, many are called there and given an opportunity. It's not that, yes, I'm just keep it biblical, given an opportunity, and few have chosen to follow and accept the responsibility and of coming to this big wedding, getting dressed for it, you know, getting into the mindset of this type of celebration. And obviously, with all of that, when you're at the wedding, you do what attendants do. You celebrate, you support the decrees that the two have join hands in and under. So I'd say that the person that I'm talking to today is one aware of them being or having the opportunity to be in the lives of the city, to an opportunity to be in the lives of their family that they have. And now I'm hoping and praying that some, or else we'll be casting our pearls upon among swine, if you will, just for paraphrasing. I'm hoping they have chosen, like I know where I'm at. I'm aware of the position I'm in people's lives, and I'm going to make the best of it, even if I'm uncomfortable with it. I'm not going to be this boss's pet. I'm going to be sharing the truth and represent the employees to the employer about their needs to carry out whatever the production goals are. So I think that this person that I'm talking to, this influencer like myself that I'm trying to influence, will say, "Oh, I got a responsibility to both sides, but I'm responsibility to God for the righteous aspect." And I might not agree with one side or the other, but I got to find a way to be righteous and ready uh, when it comes time to put out a message. And I also have to be have enough humility to say when I am wrong, when I'm not dressed right for the occasion. So that's the one I want to talk to today. This one that's been called and chosen to be in the game of family obligations, ministry obligations, society obligations.
Okay.
Ta-da.
All right. So just to go back to that scripture, biblically speaking, everything you said is okay. I mean, I'm not knocking it at all, but there's a different side of that, in that when few are chosen, that means biblically that when you are, and that could be the same thing you said. I'm just saying it in a different way.
Help
Uh,
yourself.
few are chosen in that everybody cannot be a teacher. Everybody cannot be a parent.
Yeah.
Everybody cannot lead in those positions that you were talking about as far as employers concerned. Many people might want to, but they don't have the skill. They don't have, that's not what God has called them to do. And many times some people just don't realize that they're just not called to do certain things. You're not called to do everything. Some folks
that's
want
why I
to
say
do
few.
everything. Huh?
That's why I say few.
Yeah, few are chosen.
Yeah.
But in their mind, in people's mind, few become many, because many want to
Well, it
be.
starts out saying many are called and few are chosen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
So
in the
anyway,
very end, everybody's not going. Many are called, but few are chosen. So God is running the show. God is the coach. He knows everybody's not going to accept the opportunity, and everybody that probably, and like what you're saying right now, I agree. Everybody that tries to accept the opportunity is not called.
they're not qualified.
Yeah, they weren't even called. Just said many. It didn't say everybody was called.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with you. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so going back to being an influence, those who are not chosen.
Yeah. Go sit
And
down.
yeah, it's
I
easier
was just,
said than done.
I mean, whatever you have to do to make yourself available, to, yeah, you have to make, because you got to grow. Not long ago, I fell into a debate with somebody who I probably shouldn't have been debating with, for lack of a better word. Well, it wasn't an argument, but I went into it thinking that they were on the same level that I was, and I'm not being high-minded, but you know, I went into it thinking that they were on the same level. There's no other way to say it, in consciousness, if you will. And I knew that person wasn't. It's like arguing with a 5-year-old about what it's like to be a teenager or an adult. You're in the wrong. That's just a mixed up situation, and you shouldn't be doing it. And then I got like, why did I even expect that to come out right? It wasn't a teacher student moment. It wasn't a mentor mentee relationship. It wasn't an apprentice uh, type fellowship. So I was a little perturbed that they responded the way they did, but I had to shut myself down because they were not where I am. And now they were somewhere now. They got their grounds, but what I look like trying to argue with an attorney.
Right.
And I had a bit of law school behind me. Now I
Right.
can argue from a human rights perspective,
Right.
and then they can show me how to get that through the law. But I can't tell them how to get that through the law unless they violate it. We know what's wrong sometimes when we deal with the
Right.
law, but we don't always know what's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
influencing is a big deal,
Yeah.
a huge deal. And I said earlier about children going down to that level with
Hmm.
their peers.
Right.
They out on the playground and they trying to play whatever they're playing. Well,
Hmm.
most of us want to be the best at what we do, truthfully speaking. Whatever it is, we want to be the best.
You know
The
what?
best.
I didn't change that.
Okay.
I think the Bible says something, and I'm not even trying to interrupt you. The Bible says something with much wisdom comes sorrow. The more you see, the more you know that does not bring the happiness. And I see some people, and I told somebody about 3 weeks ago, you got to be careful if you pray for vision and wisdom, because that means what has happened. And I did it years ago. I was reading some material, Christian material, I believe, and it says before you pray this prayer to ask God to open your eyes, once you pray this prayer and you get this revelation, to shorten this whole thing out, you won't be able to unsee what you see. And once you see that, you just can't go around, oh, I see you, I see this, and I see you're wrong. There's people on elementary, there's people on middle school, there's people on high school, there's people on community college, the different levels, and you just can't go around. So when it says to be the very best, if you're the very best, you got a straight, open, clear, conscious conversation with God every day. Your head probably splitting right now with what you see in us doing. Everything can be a sin from your perspective, because you like typed into God, and there's more sin than adultery and drug smoking. I mean, drugs and drinking. You see adultery, you see schemers, you see evil spells being cast on people. You see all of those sins that we're doing. Notice I said we, and some of us aren't conscious enough that we're being controlled. So just for podcast stuff, I wanted to slow that down. I don't want to be the best. I think I want to be what God wants me to be when it's necessary. But if I'm feeling like the best, it just started to feel arrogant, and I don't know. I'm just stop
Okay.
talking.
Let me back
I'm
up.
sorry.
No,
Back,
no,
yeah.
no, no, no.
Uh-huh.
It's okay. Let me back
Yeah.
up. Maybe what I said didn't come out right. When I
Yeah.
say that we all want to be the best, I
Yeah.
wasn't talking about being arrogant or above everybody else, because
Mm-mm.
everyone have different levels of accumulating or progressing in life. Everybody can't be at the top. A
Yes.
mindset, and they might want to be, but like we just said, few are chosen. So
And I'll say this, with much is given,
much
and
is
those who
required.
know, but that's the burden that I was talking about there. Not that it was something that every time you're the best, you're gonna be arrogant about it. No, no. I'm just saying it's a huge knowing the answer and getting people to get the answer and move from one place to the other. That's huge. That's a
Biblically,
huge responsibility.
yes, it is. And biblically speaking, what you just said, too much is given, much is required, is what the words say. To whom much is given, much is required. If you're given this and that and the other, if you want to get where you're going, or whatever it is you're trying to do, whoever it is that's listening on the air, folks, we talking real life here. Let's talk real life. And we are talking about accumulating and being an influence to others who's watching us. Somebody is always trying to, and I'm going to get off this, but everybody that's trying to be the best, I think for the most part, it's been said that be the best you can be. Being the best you can be means even in school, especially in school, do the best you can in school. Do the best. Everybody's not an A student. Some people just plain old C. They just average. But then you have those overachievers out there, even into adulthood. C is not good enough. They have to be at least a B plus or an A. Being all they can be, that means try to do your best at whatever it is. And you being an influencer, people out there, whatever it is you're trying to be your best at or with or accomplish, you are influencing someone who is watching you, who is observing you on your job or in school, even at home as a parent. Now, we know, like everything else, being a parent in that role, Is there such thing as a best parent? We can say we thought we were the best parent. We thought we were, but we fall short because there is no perfection in that. I don't think there's a perfection in anything, to tell you the truth, because there's always flaws, no matter what we try to do. But that does not prevent us from doing the best we can at whatever it is we're trying to do. And hopefully it's going to be the right thing. And the best we can to some folks, meaning hurting somebody, being on a negative side, because they feel like, okay, they see someone over there across the street, down the road, wherever they are, across town, they doing this and that and the other. And so you want to try to do your best to get up to that level. That person that you're trying to outdo is influencing you. Now, that influence to you can be positive because it's forcing you to do better. Do better. That means you telling yourself you're not doing enough. So in your mind, you saying, I can do better than this. If I want to go do that, I can do better. I can go try this. If I want to get such and such, I need to go back to school. Influencing. I think we all can be influenced at some point in our lives, either by economics, and that's me. I'm guilty. Economics forced me to go back to school. It forced me to go back and get degrees at different levels. It forced me to get more education because in my mind, I wasn't trying to compete with anybody. I was just trying to do the best for my children to get better jobs. That's the influence that came about, economically speaking. Coach, you have a comment?
Yeah. Kudos to that. So now the first person that I'd like to declare a common ground with is, and I'm just going to bear this out really slowly. The first type of influencer that I want to admonish, but then all right behind that, I want to offer my full support to people that are in positions like this in others' lives. That first person is the ones who know that you are called the BFF, the best friend forever. I think that's what that means.
Mm-hmm.
If you consider someone a bestie or if they consider you their best friend, I want to say that I think the greatest thing that you can demonstrate to them is your loyalty with their confidential information.
Mm-hmm.
Information right now is cheap to get, not the content of the information, but not the quantity, but people's business is business nowadays, and we share it and we give our opinion on everything, and that's called monetization of words, content, presentations. But you have a best friend and you are their influence. Keep that relationship sacred.
Amen.
Not just when you were children or like you grew up together or you just started working together and you've had some hard times together and one or two of you guys have been dishonest, or even if it's a bromance, two guys, man, y'all split up, separated, one got married and you felt slighted, but try to maintain that as best that you can.
Mm-hmm.
And time out for feeling down and low about everything that person consider your best friend is doing that's leaving you out. I think a lot of it is in our heads, and there's no battle that's automatically lost like the one that starts in your head. You didn't win, but you likely lost because you 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, I wonder if they're doing this. I wonder if they're doing that. Those are figment of your imagination. You cannot be in their head and yours at the same time. So I just wanted to say to those who have a best friend
Mm-hmm.
that they know the infinite influences in their life, especially the ones. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. I'm gonna kick it back to you. There's one of them is going through marital problems, and they're sharing those marital problems with you. or one of them is going through work-related problems. These genres of our lives are very, very, important. So one of them going through work problems, one of them is going through life issues where somebody's probably maybe about to transition and leave this earth. They don't always need your opinion. So I say, just be quiet. I'm a coach, so I can say, just shut up and listen to them, and don't do like I do sometimes, offer solutions and remedies to everything, but covet that relationship, that BFF, that best friend, and be grateful, because I'm gonna tell you one thing is guaranteed: that person not always gonna be there. So that's my first exaltation for the influences out there. They were chosen. They accepted. You bring a friend in your life, and I don't mean intimate or romantic either, but you would bring somebody in your life, though, roommate, whatever the case may be. Um, Keep it real, because it's more than probably what you think. And don't treat it casual like social media comments, and don't talk about them behind their back. I believe in the spiritual aptitude is just that. It exceeds our fleshly body when you bring a spirit in somebody's life. And it can be positive or it can be negative. Just what you're thinking can come out when you walk in a room, you mean mugging everybody, or you got a fake smile. So there's ways to unalive a person, and there's ways to break your confidentiality agreement to that person. And I'm not talking about sexual abuse. I'm not talking about somebody committing a crime. Those things you have a duty to report. But you also have a duty of dedication to be that sounding board when that friend needs you. Ta-da! So that's the first one.
I have a question.
Yep.
How do you know? And I'm trying to say this right. Let's see. How will you know who your best? How do you know if your BFF is the person you think it is? How can you distinguish? Okay, let's put it this way. If you have,
All right, I say go ahead.
if you have 2 or 3, small circle, big circle, whatever circle it is, size circle, how do you single out in that circle who you want your BFF to be? How do you go about doing that? How does that BFF person themselves know that they are your BFF? How do you distinguish that? How do you make it known? That person needs to know that they are your BFF. How do you go about letting them know that?
How does a rose know what color it's going to be before it grows?
How does it know it's a rose?
That's a good question as well. So my answer to you is grow. When you some things in life we become rather than some things we just become in life. And then when you see that, and when you're behaving like a duck, act like a duck, quack like a duck, walk like a duck, look like a duck, there's the duck.
Yeah, but how does the individual know that they are your BFF?
Well, you can go with you can shake hands. I can take a knife and and cut my flesh, and then we can hold each other wrists like this and bleed together. We can do a lot of things to proclaim that me and you are in the same, we're bonded. We can have what you call it when you get married, vows. You can say a lot of things, but the behavior, but the love, the action that you guys have between us, that's the final answer to you, that person being your best friend. When you behave like we behave in crisis, when we need something. You ever been talking about somebody and they just call you on the phone, or you've been thinking about somebody and they just up and call you? Those things right there are the spiritual aspects that I was talking about. So if I say you're my friend, I still might not be being friendly to you. I might just be on the associate level. I might just be a good associate and socialize. Some people got the term work wife and work husband. Why? Because they're an emotional support. And I think it's half bad and half good. But truly, the aspects of the work relationship, meaning the supervisor or the coworker, supported each other emotionally. And sometimes they support each other better than a husband and a wife do. It is likely because the husband and the wife is so used to each other and take each other for granted. But then at work, you're shooting for a goal. It's a competition to get that cash, to get that bag. So you want to work well with your work husband. So, but back to your question, no, I think actions speak louder than words. Let's get spiritual. You will know me by my fruit. You will know us by our fruit. And so that's, and I might fail 3 tests, but then do good the rest of the year. And that's what we call an average. If you're a teacher, you don't judge me by one event. You don't judge me by 2. You judge me by all the grades. And then you scare the mess out of me if you're a teacher at the end of the year. We only got 2 more grades. If you make a 70 on this one, and then you got to make a 90 on that one, then what am I doing? If I'm doing right by you as a friend, then you might move me up to be your best friend. And I'm just thinking there's no way to know unless I act, unless I become. And then I sprout as that rose. And then I know who I am. And now for those who know who they are in somebody's life, act like you know. Try not to offend that person. If you're both single, don't be flirting with other guys when you're with that person. If you definitely one married and the other not, don't do anything with one spouse that you wouldn't do with the other one. So I have friends that are married. I don't do anything with the husband that I wouldn't do with the wife socially. Yeah. So they both know that I'm on that level. That's it. And I'm not going to listen to one talk about the other. I'm going to be just as ignorant to what you're saying. Well, he always doing this. You know what I do? I'm like, well, I'm a man too. So what you telling me for? I just like, I ain't going to have no sympathy for you. I'm going to go for him so that I won't be a confident in their relationship because now I'm too close to it to take sides. So, and people out there, they know who I'm talking about. They got people at work that they're socializing with, and we all, that's in relationships. So you got to know the position of who you are in somebody's life. And that's what you just asked me. How do you know? By the fruit that you bear.
And I understand everything you said, except there are times when some people are not convinced wholeheartedly. They still have some doubt. They still have some questions. We're talking real life here. This is real life. We're talking about issues that really actually occur between people. Some people need more convincing than others. Some people might take everything you just said and said, okay, you know what? That's good. I'll go with that. And then there are some people that say, well,
And
I'm not quite with it.
You know what I'm gonna say? And my name ain't God, and I have no business using that as the character reference. But if you don't trust me, and you shouldn't in a lot of situations, but then who do you trust? If you trust a God that will save your life, then you have faith a little bit bigger than the mustard seed. And you have to lean on that faith, and it translates into confidence that I'm going to be all right. I'm this close to this person. They can take me out. They know enough of my secrets, and I'm maybe thinking about telling them more of the things that's going on in my life because me and that person get along together. They can identify. You're making a decision that God is in care of the whole thing. And, before you get naked in front of someone, you know, you got to think of two things. Are we in the locker room taking showers after a football game? If you are, nobody cares. And then some people pick, but you're in a common area. Take your shower, get on out, and go put your clothes on. You ain't got to worry about what they're going on over there and this, that, and the other. You're in a community place. But when you start getting intimate, you start talking about your things in your life. It takes faith in God, not faith in me, because I'll let you down. So you're right. You may not know, but you got to trust. And if you got faith, now I will say this, and this might be wrong, and I don't think I've ever told anybody.
You're
But
telling the word right now.
I know it. I'll be looking at people to say, you don't have faith in this situation that we're talking about. Where's your faith in other things? How did you even make it to where you are? Or do you just go wake up in the morning questioning God like that? Do you even think your car is going to get you to the store and back? But I know what insecurity is, and I know what lack of confidence is, and I know what clinical depression means, that you can't focus, that you can't, your brain chemicals is not balancing and weighing things. So I know what all those things bring. You just don't have a clue about what you have confidence in. So with all that being said, after I tell you I'm going to come get you at 3:00, you got to wait and see that I come get you at 3:00 before you doubt that I'm coming to get you at 3:00.
Well,
Especially if I've never not gone to pick you up on time. So when you talking about that, and you talking about how do you know, then you got to get into that category. And I'm going to close with this little bit on this. Walk by faith and not by what? Sight. So you're not going to be able to see everything that's guiding you. And therefore, you won't know 100% if your confidence is going to fall off on you at certain times. Now, people, no, another word for that, and I think you're very serious. You're very sincere. Is betrayal. And that's the worst. So you don't want to be talking to somebody that has betrayed you. If you had doing that, then that's your responsibility. You because you're following, and that person, you should doubt whether they can hold water. If I tell you that I won't betray you, then you should probably say, he's human, ain't he? So I'll just manage the amount of information I share with Coach Garrison. I could tell you, if you know anything about me, I ain't got time to keep up with your stories and his stories and their stories. I probably won't remember some of the most confidential things that you said, because you said them just to get that moment and get my opinion. And I gave it to you. Now I got to move on. Me to get on the phone and say, you know what Miss Manning just told me? But she just told me so and so. Man, I ain't got time. Who got time for that? A lot of people. I'm sorry, the news. So, anyways, back to that. How do you know if somebody is your BFF? It's a good question. Maybe that people need to write us and tell us ways that they know beyond just living with that person and showing themselves over time, and the lack of major incidents can demonstrate that you are somebody's BFF.
And the only thing I want to add on to that is there are times, because we are all human, there are times when we will mess up.
Yep.
Even with what we call our BFF, we slip, we make a mistake every now and then. Yep. But then that go right back to what I'm always saying about forgiveness. There's that big word with a whole lot of letters in it.
Woo.
And make it big, bold, because forgiveness is everything when it comes to a one friend, a semi-friend, a halfway friend, or a total BFF.
Talk about it.
Is that forgiveness. Now,
Yeah.
whatever it is, you mentioned it a few minutes ago, very briefly, and we're talking about influencing. We
Yeah.
don't want to lose sight of what we're talking about with this influencing thing. And
Yeah.
and as we continue to be friends, people, as we all become friends, and some folks, they're so outdone. Let me skip that part. Let me say this. Some folks are so outdone with who they thought was their friend until that word that you mentioned earlier, trust, is out the window. Some people are in the position now where they have been disappointed so many times. That person influenced them in so many negative ways until now they are very, very adamant about not trusting anybody, truth be told. And when they do find someone that they might try to take a step towards getting close to, something happens. And then they fall back. And then they get back in that mindset again of not trusting. So that influence right there, that's the negative side of influencing others, influencing influencers. Because when we, as human beings, we have feelings. Everybody knows that. Even though we hurt other people by what we say and do, we ourselves have feelings. And it does not feel good when someone hurt our feelings. Never mind the fact that we hurt Joe Blow feelings over here and Susan Hugo over here. We done hurt their feelings. But when it comes to our own feelings, oh wow, now that's a different story. The influence right there is, okay, it's all right for you to hurt somebody's feelings, but you don't want nobody to hurt yours. That's a sad place to be in.
There's a narcissist right there. That was my next influencer.
A narcissist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna ride you, but and we're almost afraid, and I'm talking to a lot of people right now. We're almost afraid to put a mirror in front of a narcissist because they're gonna cut up. As soon as you show them what they're doing, you give them a little bit of taste of that. They coming back swinging. So sometimes we just choose peace. We choose peace over hearing all that mess that they get ready to go on and on and on about. And kudos to the ones that I'm speaking to now. Not laughing at narcissists. I'm not laughing at you for letting them get their way all the time. But you're gonna have to woman up and stop them every now and then. But that's but I think being a narcissist is part clinical. Okay, so in their defense, and people that have those characteristics in their defense, I gotta be praying. But anyway, I just decided to pick that point out with what you were saying.
And that has everything to do with influencing. Again, we all know that influencing can be a positive and negative, and somewhere in between. Because why? Sometimes we are in between. We twix in between because sometimes we don't know whether to step off or step in. We don't know what to do. Yeah. We're off and we're in it. We're swinging like what's that? That swing that what is that called?
Seesaw.
Seesaw. We're up and down, up one end and down the other, back and forth, and we spend our life sometime doing that. Well, after a while, that gets kind of old. You want to get off the seesaw. You want to have level ground.
People don't get that. You said after a while. You know how long a while can be, and this is all.
Lifetime.
Thank you. That's the punchline. Young people, young adults that just got married, or do you know how you consider yourself a critical thinker? You're analytical. You're inverted. You're intellectual. If you don't get that balance between you and that person, you will be doing the same thing in a destructive way in 10 years. You think it's just going to go away because y'all kissed and made up.
Right.
When y'all passed the time. No, I suggest that you solve that. I suggest that you balance your character.
Right.
Now, people that are joined in together matrimony, they have a right to work with each other's personality.
Right.
And over time, you can, if you can get better over time, you can get better over time. But if
Absolutely.
you don't choose better over time, then I always say I was married 30 years. And I was married 30 years seeing other people married 30 years. Okay. So I got some experience visually and for myself. So you got to stop that right now. All of you guys is in these BFF relationships. If there's toxicity in there,
Toxicity.
yes, I said
You said
toxicity.
that word, whatever that word is, that word.
Yeah,
Yeah, that word.
toxicity. Did I make up the suffix to that name or whatever? Toxic behavior.
Yeah.
Y'all catch this with a smile. I'm gonna throw this ball to you. Fix that now, or that will be your demon child.
Your downfall.
And you will nurse that baby. And then you're 40 years old and now you got a 20-year-old toxic child that's a part of you, your husband, and the rest of the family that you had. You are toxic. And I'm laughing now because I'm smiling now because I don't have a marriage that has toxic stuff in it. Oh, that's bad, y'all.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sorry I was not able to keep my my marriage.
Your vows.
Totally my responsibility. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to keep it. I wish I was. But y'all that's in it now, you got that toxic behavior. Oh, it's gonna go away after 3 years. Oh, it's fine. I'm just gonna ignore it. That that little sprout gonna grow into a tree, and you're gonna be like Coach Garrison told me, and y'all gonna be sitting there like two bitter old folks at 30 years old, at 40 years old, at 50 years old. Then at 50 years old, I'm leaving you. What? Not when I'm telling you now to deal with it. You can have a fruitful. I had a great marriage, till one day that sprout came up, So beware of that. Beware of yourself. The marriage is not the problem. It's you that won't look in the mirror and come to grips to say every time somebody calls you out for your weird behavior, I don't mean weird because I'm just as weird, quirky, and goofy as I can be. But when you get called out, you try to make you try to be the victim and let the other person be the one that's responsible for what just happened. And you just as passive aggressive as you can be, and you say nice stuff, but it's nasty. Then you're gonna say, why are you always yelling at me? Why are you always cutting me off? What, you say that same, what? With police officer, he's 10 times bigger than me. Look at him. You say that same old game, but in your heart, you knew somebody was calling you out for your mess.
So where's the influence there?
The influence is coming from me to a person that is that powerful, got such great things going on. The opposite of that is your marriage is great. You guys get along just fine. You are perfect role models at church. You hold hands and people looking at you and envious. But then when you get home, you hate each other.
So the influence or the lack, the influence or the lack thereof is
your role models already to the community. But in the back room, boy, I'm laughing because I'm talking to somebody. When you get home, I don't want that. We've had that 3 times all week. You didn't pay the bill on time. You're into that behavior, that righteousness, that in 10 years, in 20 and 30 years, you can be sitting there slobbering in a wheelchair and you can't help yourself. So you will need these people when you're on top of your game, when you're at your best and you're on time every time. Somebody may not be. So you got to have compassion. No, regardless how good you look, but you got to think about the future. We come in this life as babies, can't feed ourselves. We'll go out of this life similar. We can go out of this life babies and can't feed ourselves. Diapers got to be changed again. So look out for human nature and wait on other people. Be patient on other people because you're at your prime right now. You can look down on a lot of us that didn't finish college. Yeah, you can look down on a lot of us.
But that's not wise either.
But maybe it's because you ain't never been sick before. Maybe it's because your parents were together when you were raised. Maybe it's because you did experience a lot of stuff when you were young and you're not going to go for that no more. And so now you're assertive in your life and you want to make everybody have the same experience that you have. No. Newsflash, if you're talking to somebody that's 20 and below, they cannot connect with your past experiences. Right. You can say you dug potatoes, walked 20 miles to school and you enjoyed it. They're going to say, no, you didn't. You just suffered. Them kids are smart, boy. Them Gen Alphas and Gen Zs, they smart in their own way. So that's
how do we influence them at that level? And our time is about up, but
we got 1 minute, 2 minutes left in the show. Well, how do we influence people who are what I call in mediation world stuck in a position? How do you get somebody to move out of a position? And maybe we'll talk about that conflict resolution thing on the next show. But yeah, how do you get somebody to move a position? Well, I would say one, you can't make somebody move a position. You got to find a way to identify with what they believe. And when they realize that you really understand what they believe, then it'll reflect back on them and say, oh yeah, that is a little harsh. That is a little tough on everybody else because I'm thinking, no kissing, no hugging. Let's just go. Let's just get it done. Let's just kick the door down and go in. Let's just whoop our child and beat them. They ain't gonna act gay no more. Let's just get some healing oil and take them to the pastor and let the pastor lay hands on them. When you try to move somebody out of a position and you don't understand them, they know that. So there's a ways that you can come off of that position, and you don't have to see it from my situation. I don't want to have to beat you up just to know what it feels to get bullied, but you do have to find a way to identify with somebody that's been abused and not look at them and say, well, just leave. He always cussing you out. He don't believe in you. Just leave.
Yeah. Well, folks, we are down at the 11th hour. And I want to say this before we get disconnected. God, thank you always for being there. I can run away or do anything to escape. I can't do anything to run away and escape your presence. Your love is light. Your strength is supportive. And your guidance is good. Even when I mess up time and again, you remain the same. Thank you, Jesus. And that's my thankful comment for the end of this show in this season of being grateful. Thank you for being who you are and listening to us out there. And I do pray that you have learned a little bit of something from what we have shared on this topic of influencing the influencer. So, Lord, I thank you for this time. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Till next time.
All right. WECU 1570 AM 107.5, Winterville, Greenville. This has been another broadcast of Awesome Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, love you guys. See you.